Call me weak, but one thing I cannot resist is a crochet gadget. So when Caydo dropped their ICord maker a few months ago, I was all over it. I used it, I fought with it, and I managed to make the cutest purse I've ever made in my entire life. Then out of nowhere, boom, Caydo hits us with the Pro version. It's bigger, it's beefier, and it comes with a $150 price tag. It might look like something out of Men in Black, but it could be a game changer if you're looking to bust some stash. Hello, my loves. Tony here from TL Yarn Crafts, and welcome to another Yarny review. This time we're taking a look at the i1 Pro ICord maker from Caydo to decide if it's worth space in your crafty collection. And if you love talking crochet tools, make sure you like this video and consider subscribing to my channel so you don't miss any of my free patterns, product reviews, and creative side missions. Now, before we jump into the review, we have to give some love to our Cup of Caffeine sponsor. I'm currently sipping on some maple honey tea that I found at the farmer's market, and I am in fall heaven. Now, today's Cup of Caffeine sponsor is named Verna, and when donating, Verna said, "Thank you, Tony, you beautiful ray of light. Love and hugs, Verna." You know what, Verna? I'm gonna take that hug and I'm gonna raise you a big old smooch. Mwah. Thank you so much. Now, if you like my videos and want to support my channel, buy me a cup of coffee. Who knows, I might shout you out in the next one. Now, let's talk ICord makers. Let's kick things off with a recap of Caydo's original i1. It's a little electric ICord maker, very compact, easy to use, and uses 4 latch hooks to make ICord. To use it, attach it to a ledge, plug it in with a USB-C charger, thread the yarn, and turn on the machine. It's pretty simple to set up and use. I love how consistent of a cord it makes, and I like that it works with smooth and fuzzy yarns. But, and this is a big ol' Kardashian size but, I had some big issues with that first ICord maker. First off, you need elevation to even make this thing work properly. The machine comes with several weights to maintain tension and to help the cord come out of the machine, but you have to adjust those weights every minute or two as you continue to create cording. The cord also twists when it comes out of the machine, creating another headache that you have to deal with. And I found that I was limited to DK weight and some worsted weight yarns for truly usable cord. It was pretty fun to learn with this machine, but it was giving very bless your heart energy. You know what I'm saying? Now that we've reacquainted ourselves with the original machine, it's time to meet the new one. This is the i1 Pro, which just started shipping from Caydo on October 1st. The differences between these two machines starts from the very get-go, including the body style. Now, I was a little bit nervous when I saw that this new ICord machine was about twice the size of the original. Yeah, she thick, but she earns that real estate. You just wait and see. Another big difference is how you turn this machine on. Whereas the original one just had an on and off button and 1 speed, this one actually has 3 speeds. 1 is the lowest and 3 is the fastest. You also get a knob on this one, just like you did on the old one. Now on this one, the knob says knit and purl, which is a little bit misleading. When you turn the machine on, the knob turns and it just makes knitted ICord. You can't actually make purled ICord with this machine, which I was hoping for, but it's okay, it's okay. And once you turn it on, the knob starts to turn just like the old machine, but there is a big difference. Now with the old machine, all 4 of the latch hooks would twist, which caused the ICord to twist as it came out of the machine. This time, the yarn actually twists around the hooks, so the cord comes out straight. It's like they were listening to me. Another big perk is this time around, the machine is weighted, so you don't have to attach it to your desk or to your table, which is a huge plus in my book. As long as you're within reach of a power cord and a flat surface, you can make ICord anywhere. You will need a few supplies for your ICording adventure, namely the yarn, and yes, we are gonna run back the yarn weight test like we did last time. Knock on wood, I'm feeling optimistic we'll have even better results than with the previous ICord maker. I also mentioned that you're gonna need a source of power. A USB-C cord is included in the pack, but it is shorter than my attention span while doom scrolling, so I just grabbed a cord that I had already. It also comes with this little threader thingy. It's got a crochet hook on one side and an eye on the other side. Do not lose this and do not throw it away. It's going to be very important for getting the yarn into your machine, and I'll show you that in just a second. And lastly, you're going to need a tapestry needle. The box did come with a plastic one, but you can guess where that ended up. I grabbed a metal one from my stash, and now we're good to go. Once your supplies are assembled, you're ready to make some ICord, and you're going to be blown away by how easy this is. Start by passing your yarn through the tension arm, then through the guide hole on the clear part of the machine. Next, take your threader thingy and push the yarn through the back of the machine along the guide wheels. If you're having trouble, rotate one of the guide wheels and the hook will spit out. From here, you want to manually rotate the machine while it's still off. And while you rotate, let the first hook catch the yarn, skip the second, catch the third, and skip the fourth. Now for the first few stitches, you're going to want to hold on to the tail and gently pull the resulting I-cord through the guide wheels. Once the I-cord actually hits the guide wheels, you can let go and let that machine do her work. As long as your yarn flows freely and there are no knots, this brand new I-cord basically runs itself. And once you get a good clip going, you can jack it up to that third speed and really make some progress on that I-cord. Now, once you're done folding that load of laundry, make sure you go check on your I-cord maker because it just might already be done. When it's finished, the end of the I-cord will just flow out of the back and chill there. And once the I-cord maker is done, it will not shut itself off. So make sure you turn it to the off position. At this point, we do have 4 live loops to deal with. Pull the yarn tail until you have a decent amount of length. Then you can put that onto your tapestry needle and pass it through each of the 4 loops. Now between the last video and this video, I still haven't found out the correct way to do this, but we're just here for the vibes, right? Just put the tapestry needle through the loops, pull the tail, and we can move on with our day, okay? Now it's time to don our lab coats and do a very scientific yarn weight test. Now Caydo's website says that this I-cord maker can cord 99% of yarns. Now that's a really big claim, and we're gonna see if this big boy can back it up. Now Caydo sent over 2 skeins of yarn with this machine. It's just your run-of-the-mill DK weight acrylic, and I'm sure it cords up just fine. But if we're gonna put this thing through its paces, we're gonna have to beef it up for this test. I dug deep into my stash for the yarns for this test. Some thick, some thin, some smooth, some textured. My main goals were to test the speed mechanism of this machine and to see if it could handle some heavier weight yarns. So let's get to it. The first yarn was a softball. I just did a 100% superwash merino wool fingering weight, and I personally think this looked really great as a mini skein, but it looks even better as cord in my opinion. It was super easy to thread into the machine, and the resulting cord is uniform and stretchy. I also corded fingering weight yarn in the last video, and I would swear that this one is a little bit more sturdy and substantial than even the last machine. It's less airy and more dense, and it feels like something that could actually be used as yarn in a project. Next, I tried a DK weight wool and cotton blend, and yes, we're talking about Happy Place, and this yarn corded up just as well as I thought it would. The cord is opaque with ample stretch, perfect for craft projects or chunky crochet items. I really love how crisp and even the stitches are, particularly with this yarn. Now, when trying this one out, I did crank the machine up to the 3rd speed, and I'm not gonna lie, I got a little bit scared. There was like this really loud mechanical sound, but once I realized that the machine was not gonna fly off the table, I just let her do her thing. And I gotta tell you, there is something very satisfying about making I-cord at lightning speed. Next came another DK weight yarn, but I decided this time we'll make it fuzzy. I was really curious how this machine would take 2 blown yarns, and surprise, surprise, it did incredibly well. The fuzziness did still come through on the cord, but I did find it was much firmer than the last DK weight that we tried. It's still flexible and still light to the touch and handled that speed superbly. The last of the easy peasy fibers was Apricity, which is a bulky weight alpaca wool blend blown yarn. This yarn took incredibly well to the last I-cord maker, and I'm happy to report it did the same with this one. It did really well feeding into the machine, and it stood up to the 3rd setting, the fastest that the machine can go. I will say I'm still trying to get over that mechanical sound. I'm gonna give you a little taste and you let me know if it's as bad as I think. Okay, so here's a quick test to show how loud this is on gear 3. It's pretty loud. It's fast though. Now that all the easy yarns are out of the way, it's time to take it up a notch with some heavier yarns. First up is Loops and Threads Sweet Snuggles Light, which is a super bulky weight chenille yarn, and I'm sad to say, no dice. It started off a little promising, but the moment I got my hopes up, it jammed up on us. I'll admit this one was a long shot, and my guess is we need much larger latch hooks in the machine to even make this yarn work. It was worth a try, but let's move on. Next was a yarn that I always have on hand. This this is Lion Brand's Hue and Me, which is a bulky weight wool acrylic blend. Now, if you're guessing, Tony, there's no way that goes through the machine, you would be right, smart cookie you are. Now, I should have known this wasn't gonna work when I had so much trouble even getting it through the guide hole, but I'm hard-headed, y'all. I had to try it anyway. It's funny because I think I got even less cord out of this one than I did from the Sweet Snuggles. Go figure. But I know what you're here for. You want to see the yarn that bested the last Caydo ICord maker. That's Red Heart Super Saver. Love or hate that yarn, it takes up a lot of space in a lot of our stashes. So is today a good day to cord it? Let's find out. Now, a quick honesty moment, I did not go into this optimistic. Looking at the latch hooks in the new ICord maker, they look exactly like the ones in the old ICord maker, so I thought we would run into the same problem. So imagine my surprise when I actually started making cord out of Red Heart Super Saver. I got a little excited for a minute, but then I came back down to earth when I saw what was actually coming out of the machine. This cord was so stiff, it could stand up on its own. Girl, I ain't lying. Look at it. Kudos to Caydo for making a machine that could handle this yarn, but just because you can cord it doesn't mean you should. So can the i1 Pro take on 99% of yarns? Maybe not, but we can agree that this is a beast of a machine that can maybe take on about 80% of your yarn stash. And does that make it worth it? I don't know. You're gonna have to be the decider of that. Now that the science experiment is over, let's get down to yarny business. It is time to make a crochet project. Last time I made a bag, but we gonna switch it up. In my process of stash busting, I'm also organizing all of my yarny spaces, so I need containers to put stuff in. And when you're crafty like us, why buy containers when you can make them? So I'm gonna do a rope basket. I have never made one of these before, so I skipped my little butt over to Pinterest to look for some tutorials and some blog posts, and thankfully I found several, namely one from Chi of One Dog Wolf. Hey girl. Her blog post and accompanying YouTube video really broke things down in a way that makes sense to me and made it super easy for me to swap in my ICord for the rope that she used. Next was to pick the yarn for my ICord, so you know I'm going straight for my stash, and I found that this machine takes really well to medium weight yarns, and I found the perfect one, Karen Blossom Cakes. This is a worsted weight yarn that's a blend of cotton and acrylic. And yes, this is another attempt at acclimating myself to Michaels. I am a sucker for blown yarn, so it was really a no-brainer for me to pick up several cakes of this when it was on sale recently. I love the self-striping of it, and some colors are more colorful than others, so I was super curious to see how this would look as cord. Now, my biggest gripe with the old ICord maker is how long it took to make cord. If you recall, it took 2 entire Jason Statham movies to cord up a 150-gram ball of yarn. It was a whole thing. You'll just have to go watch the old video. This time I was working with a 227-gram cake, so I set up my ICord maker and tucked into a Liam Neeson movie because I figured I'd be here for a while. So color me surprised when I look up 40 minutes later and my entire cake is finished. I jacked that thing up to the 3rd speed and totally drowned it out while I watched Liam Neeson kick butt all over the Irish countryside. And the best part about the whole thing is I didn't even have to touch the machine. Since the yarn was very easily coming out of the cake, it whipped it up in no time. So I got to watch Liam Neeson do his thing while multitasking to prepare for my next project. I call that a win-win. And I have to say, stitching this project was so very fun. The resulting cord from the Karen Blossom cake was beautiful and dense, but still a little bit stretchy. So I decided to use a 4mm hook and some happy place to stitch around the cord. The fabric that it created was pretty flexible and it allowed all that pretty cord to shine through. So here's my first basket. I honestly think it turned out pretty darn cute. It's currently holding my 2025 mood blanket, which is definitely my most neglected whip of the entire year. I am so sorry, sweetie. Now I am happy with this first basket, but I did find it to be quite floppy. That's why I just folded down the top to give it a little bit more structure. But I knew for my next basket, I wanted something a bit more sturdy, so I got to making some more ICord. For my second basket, I corded up the same yarn, just in a different colorway, and I dropped down to a 3mm hook. I also use Happy Place to stitch around my cord in a brand new color, might I add. This colorway is called Light Lime, and I thought it was a beautiful complement to this really vibrant and gorgeous cord. Now, by the time I got to stitching on my second basket, I really had a nice flow going, lifting my loops nice and high so I could create a flat base for the bottom of my basket. This was truly the perfect project to stitch while I had a little bit of downtime in the afternoon. And working on this was a real treat because I've mainly been doing sweaters and commission projects, so making something just for me felt like a little bit of luxury. And also stitching during the daytime. I'm typically stitching at midnight, so this was like top tier crochet time. So here is my progress so far. I really got into the zone last night and I made the base on this way too big. So I'm gonna need to do some frogging. I'm gonna take it down to about 10 inches on the base and then see how high I can get on the sides. I also have a really fun idea for the handles, and if it works out, oh my gosh, I'll be sure to share it with you. You'll see the result either way. The only downside is I can't really see the cord very much through this. I'm seeing a whole lot of the yarn that I'm stitching with. So I'm wondering if I split the difference and go for a 3.5mm hook on my next basket, will that balance out being able to see the cord, but still having a little bit of sturdiness? So that'll be my next experiment, but I'm not gonna start that one until I finish this one, promise. Looking at these two machines head to head, I think it's pretty apparent which one is better, but I do think they both have their uses. The i1 Pro is faster, it can cord a wider percentage of yarns, and it's basically set it and forget it. But the original i1 is better for portability and is a little nicer to your pocketbook at almost $100 cheaper than the Pro version. And they both make a gorgeous iCord that you can use for a variety of projects to help you clear your stash. So what's the verdict? I will say that this one addresses a lot of the major issues I had with the original i1, so it does feel like a pretty significant upgrade. It addresses all of the issues that I had with speed, with setup, and having a mostly hands-free experience. I'd say it's worth it if you plan to use this regularly, at least once a quarter, maybe even a little bit more. Or you might consider upgrading if all the issues with the first machine bothered you enough and you're not gonna use it. Now, the only person that I would not recommend this machine to is somebody who is too early in their maker process, because I remember being a bright-eyed newbie and I thought there was potential in every skein of yarn and every gadget I could get my hands on. But then I would look up a couple months later and that gadget would be in a pile of other gadgets in the back of my closet. At $150 a pop, this thing is not an impulse purchase, and I don't want you in my DMs talking about, Tony, you told me to buy this. Take a beat, decide if this is something that you actually want, and then purchase it, okay? Now, at the end of the day, I've had a lot of fun testing both of these machines and discovering all the different and fun projects that I can try. It feels a bit like a crafty curveball that really pushes me out of my comfort zone, and I love that because I get to try something and learn something new. So I made a bag last time, I made a basket this time, and who knows where I could take iCord in my next project. I've thought about making a bunch of fingering weight iCord and maybe finger knitting a blanket for Pepper, or I could make a whole bunch of chunky iCord out of apricity and then weave myself a nice pillow for my couch. If you take some time to think about it, the possibilities truly are endless. Now, if you want to try your hand at some iCording, the i1 Pro is now available from Caydo, and be sure to use my code TLSaves for an additional discount. It's the perfect time to get a jump on some of those handmade holiday projects, and you best believe all of my friends and family are getting rope baskets for Christmas. Maybe I'll fill them up with some cute little treats and wrap them up. I think that'll be so cute. I just love that idea. And now I'm gonna hand it over to you. So what do you think about this machine? Did it impress you? Is it worth $150? And what would you make with your new iCord maker? Go ahead and sound off in the comments. My tea is hot and I'm ready to hear your true thoughts. And once you're done with that, be sure to check out my last video where I go through 10 foolproof crochet palette ideas. If you've ever experienced decision paralysis inside a yarn store, this video is for you. I use tip number 8 all the time and it has never failed me, not once. Thank you so much for watching, babes. I'm really glad we got a chance to spend some time together today. Now you stay hydrated and keep those hooks moving, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.